For the past several years, team member Matt Egge has been hunting his Wisconsin farm, chasing a mature buck he calls Gable. Gable's been easy to track and follow through the years. He's got a floppy left ear, and he is very photogenic on the Moultries. Mature bucks have an extreme fidelity to their home range, and we know from GPS collars, the older a buck gets, on average, those areas that a buck uses within his home range seem to shrink in size. That's likely because they learn how the thermals work, how the coyotes run through there, where hunters are, all those things that buck needs to learn to be efficient to travel through his home range to avoid predation. Remember, that buck is trying to survive. Hunting older age class bucks is always fun because you get more years of data. You learn maybe the personality almost of that buck, how he travels through his home range, and you get more data points every year. Matt estimated that Gable was 7 years old this fall, and as he started putting a hunting plan together, he noticed that Gable through the years started showing a little pattern. He was circling through, hitting scrapes in the same area about the same date and time throughout the years. During the fall of 2023, Gable was 5 years old, and he was very active during mid to late October and even into November at two scrape areas that Matt calls Bear Corner and Sanctuary Gate. Look closely at the dates and times Gable was traveling through these areas. During the fall of 2024, Gable was estimated to be 6 years old, and look at the dates and times that he was active at the Sanctuary Gate. They were very similar to that 2023 fall. Fast forward to this fall, and on October 17th, around 7:15 p.m., Gable worked the scrape at Bear Corner. At almost the exact time he had worked that scrape on Bear Corner during the fall of 2023. Keep in mind these videos are just one small look into Gable's travels, but I find it very interesting how Gable travels year to year, and within just a few days apart, almost same times in some of these scrapes, he seems to be passing through these areas, almost like he knows exactly when he wants to be at a specific location. During the morning of October 24th, Gable showed back up, working the scrape at Bear Corner. It's the pre-rut, and these scrape lines can be hot hunting locations. You find a fresh scrape, bucks are going to those communication points, trying to learn what's going on in the area and to deposit scent. Scrapes are best hunted during this pre-rut time. Seeing that Gable was in the area, working this scrape line in this travel corridor, Matt decided it was time to go hunt Gable. Weather conditions were right to slide in that afternoon, and this was going to be Matt's first hunt of 2025.
Here we go. It's just got my stuff on sprayed down, and I'm actually going directly behind me, about 250 yards, 300 yards maybe. And where I think the buck is bedded is behind the corn here. Behind the corn. I'm hoping that he just kind of follows the top of the ridge back here tonight. We'll see. But we'll see. Combining corn not too far away from me here, just across the valley, but that shouldn't impact us at all. If anything, it'll pull the deer out. Seems like a dinner bell when they hear the combine running. And the next day, that cornfield will be full of deer. But anyway, first time in, October 24th, perfect temps, 50 degrees, south to southeast wind, which is perfect for where I'm going, at least in my head. And we'll see what it does when we get there, but it should be a good night. Been getting a lot of trail cam pictures from the Moultrie, like probably less than 100 yards from where I'll be. And it's kind of a travel corridor. I'm using the corn as a pinch point, basically, from the bedding. I'm assuming they're going to go to this alfalfa. It seems like anytime temps go above 40, they want to go green. and they don't usually go grain until it gets a lot colder. But anyway, I going. I'm gonna do hang and hunt on the edge of the field, somewhat on the edge of the field, and go from there. So wish me luck. Back in the tree. Here we go.
Matt had a good plan going in, but when he got to the location he was hoping to hunt, wouldn't you know it, at that site, the weatherman was wrong. So he had to shift his plan a bit, and as he walked around, he found some nice, fresh scrapes. Seeing that fresh sign, he decided to hunt there. The wind and thermals were favorable to hunt that area, and right behind him there was a steep drainage. And if that wind died, Matt knew those thermals would pull his scent down in the drainage, and he could still hunt that scrape line.
There's a ton of sign right here where the corn turns to alfalfa. And my wind is actually not from the south, it's out of the north. So instead of pushing in by the bedding area, I'm just gonna make a play here. Hang right on this field edge right over this scrape. There's a lot of beds in the alfalfa right up here, which is probably all nighttime activity type stuff, but this is right on the travel corridor coming out of the bedding area. Right down the fence line. Huge scrape right here. Rub, scrapes. And just around the corner I have a mole tree. And on the other end I have a mole tree down this way. So hopefully the thermals tonight, the wind's supposed to die down. And when it does, my thermals will pull right down this ditch. Actually I have a stand right down here about 50 yards, but I don't think it'll work right for tonight, so I'm gonna try this and see what happens. I think that tree will work. There's quite a bit of cover on it, so. It's about 3 o'clock right now, or 3:30. So it took me about an hour, I guess, which isn't bad in my opinion for first time sit, but I got set up in what I think is probably best case scenario. The wind's supposed to be out of the south, which will be coming over my head, but it's actually blowing to the north, so it must be hitting this ravine behind me and kind of doing a big swirl, but it's consistent. So I'm hoping tonight when the thermals really start to drop, it's just gonna pull right down here behind me and just go down the ditch. And I'm hoping that they'll walk right down this row. It's gonna be tight. There's a huge scrape that's been freshly worked, probably this morning or last night, but it's about 7 yards from the stand. So we'll see. Hunting that, the buck we call Gable, he's got a broken ear. It's been broke since 2020. I have pictures from 2019, and assuming I think he was probably a 2-year-old in 19, so he's 7 years old probably this year, and he's the biggest and oldest deer that we have pictures of on the farm. So anyway, I gotta get the rest of my stuff set up and get my release on and get ready. About an hour and a half, it should be pretty good. Here we go.
Growing Deer is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Also by Green Cover Food Plots, Winchester, PH Outdoors, Black Widow Bows, Moultrie, Steel, Fleet Outdoor Apparel, Burrell Targets, Fourth Arrow, Soil Pro Outdoors, Scorpion Venom Archery, Case IH Tractors, Burris Optics, and Redneck Hunting Blinds.
I'm sure Matt was dreaming of spring watching these stomp. Suddenly, Matt heard that sound we all love to hear, leaves crunching, and it sounded like it was getting close. This buck needed a few more years before getting on the hit list, but it was a great start to the hunt.
About an hour left of shooting. So, plenty of time. We'll see what happens. Got a weird feeling they might come from my west here.
As the sun was setting, Matt spotted 2 does come over the hill feeding in the alfalfa. There are a lot of crops in the area, but when it's warm, it was in the mid-50s that afternoon, deer prefer to feed on those greens rather than those carb-rich grains like standing corn or even acorns. So it made sense why these deer were head down in the alfalfa. As Matt was watching the does, he noticed a big buck come up over the hill, and he had a floppy ear.
That's Gable. I've never seen him in those. Gonna catch no wind. Me. That was Gable. I just hit the oldest deer on the farm. I think he's down right here. Less than 100 yards. Holy smokes. He came from the opposite way I was planning. I had a doe literally right below me. 6 yards. When I drew back and he was standing, I think about 19. At least that's what my Burris Oracle said, it was 19 yards. What a night, holy smokes.
The shot and reaction looked good, and Matt believed Gable was down just over the hill. Matt immediately hopped on the phone to FaceTime his son Silas and to tell him about the hunt. Silas was thrilled to hear that Gable was likely down, and he wanted to join his dad on the trail. It didn't take long for Matt and Silas to find blood, and they started trailing. They didn't have to go far before they saw a white belly.
Tree's right here.
Yeah. Look at that.
Good job,
Dude,
buddy. Hey,
6 years.
Good job.
6
buddy.
or 7 years been after that deer.
Good job. Hey, get up there.
Holy cow.
Oh my God.
Look at the size of that deer.
I can't remember.
Holy smoke. Look at the size of his neck. Like,
This is how I found it. It was a stick. Did you see that? It was a stick.
holy smoke. Dude, that deer is not wide, but holy cow, he's got mass. An incredible body size. Holy cow. Well, it wasn't much of a track job, but we finally put my hands on this thing. It's been 6 or 7 years. I think the very first trail cam picture we have of this deer was when he was a 1.5 years old, and in 2020 he broke his ear, and obviously recognizable. It's been like that for the past 5 years, and I know I have pictures of him from the previous year, so he's at least 6, most likely 7-year-old deer. But pretty incredible night. It was had kind of a game plan and tried it, and it was completely backwards from what I expected. So I guess the best laid plans don't always work out, but it worked out anyway. But I can't be any happier with this thing. He's just incredible body size. Hopefully I have enough space so I can put the scale on him when we get home, but he's just unreal. I mean, the mass on him, good long length on his tines, close to 10-inch twos probably on the right side anyway. But what a story on this deer, as old as he is. Never seen him on the hoof. This is the first time I've ever seen him in daylight, not on a trail camera, in 7 years. We've been playing cat and mouse, so pretty proud. It's my first day hunting yet this year in 2025. Bought a license, put my camouflage on basically when I got to the farm, and climbed in a tree, and 3.5 hours later this guy came walking through the field grunting, bumping a couple does, and I was able to make a decent shot a little bit farther forward than I planned, but he only went, if I had to guess, he only went about 70 yards, if that. So couldn't be happier. I can't believe we finally got him, man. Isn't that crazy?
It's a great deer.
We probably have, what, 300 trail camera pictures of him?
Congratulations, Matt, on a great buck and a well thought out hunting strategy. Matt applied historical data, what he knew of Gable's path and travel through the years, and then applied it to what he saw on the ground, making that quick shift due to the wind, finding those fresh scrapes, hung in a tree, just on the fly, but putting all that together, a great hunting strategy that resulted in a great 7-year-old buck on the ground and a wonderful memory shared with family. Looking at historical trail camera images is a great way to learn about specific deer, create a good hunting strategy. The same is true for our lives. If you want to have a really good plan for your life, well, study history. The Bible is the best book for that. It's a historical book, a scientific book, and a book based on other people's lives, mistakes, successes, on how to live a successful life. And ultimately, Scripture leads you to the Creator and gives you a purpose for your life. That's the most successful life that you can live. I hope you slow down this week and enjoy creation, but more importantly, dive into Scripture, learn about the Creator, and grow closer to Him. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.